Right, so I'm still outside the courthouse from the Lil Durk hearing, and there was another kind of not so great piece of news for Durk. I mean, really, this was actually very bad news. It was ruled that this evidence that was on his phone, remember we heard about he had a phone that was taken from him after he was this victim of a home invasion in 2021. He had fired shots into the air, and allegedly, the cops basically said that they had probable cause to seize his phone to investigate because things weren't really adding up. Even though he was the victim of an alleged home invasion, they said that he'd been reckless and fired the shots into the air. Now, they held on to that phone from 2021. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, because it happened in Atlanta, they had kind of, tried to crack the phone. They had got like a very basic, cracking of the phone where it was in they described it as like a first unlock mode. So if you turn your phone off and you turn it back on, you're in a first unlock. It hasn't been unlocked yet, right? So if your phone is in that state, what it basically means is that they can't get everything. They can't get all the messages. They can get all your images. They can get the thumbnails. They can get screenshots, but they can't get the actual messages. So Durk and his team were basically trying to argue that because the phone had been held onto for 5 years, the FBI filed a federal search warrant for the phone all the way in June 2026, that they shouldn't be allowed to use that evidence, and it was gathered improperly. This was an L for Durk. The judge basically said, look, it seems like the cops acted in good faith. They had good reason to look at the phone, to seize the phone, to go through the phone back then because of the reckless shots that were fired into the air. It's not the FBI's fault. It's nothing to do with the FBI that the phone was held onto for so long. The FBI asked for that information in good faith, and the judge even said that if they continue trying to get hold of all of the other contents of the phone that weren't available yet, if they get them between now and the trial, which is in like a couple of weeks, he said, well, if the feds manage to get all of the information off those phones, then we're gonna have to revisit it then and decide whether I'm gonna be allowing them to look at all that stuff. And it sounds like that is gonna be able to be used against him. And the contents of the phone was pretty damning. It was, photographs, screenshots. Apparently there was a screenshot of a conversation where they were trying to get Lil Tim's address, and the government basically said, yeah, that we have the metadata to show that that was 2 days after Lil Tim was released on house arrest. So they were tracking his movements. It sounded like the stalking was taking place. They said that the screenshot of Quando Rondo's concert posters that were, found in the phone, that was within a few days of, him being shot at outside of his concert. So the government basically said, look, we got that information fair and square. The judge wasn't really trying to hear the other arguments. I mean, he was trying to hear them, and he said, I'm not going for it. It is going to be allowed. And, he said that it sounds like the authorities acted in good faith, and if they get more information, they're going to be able to use that too. So that was pretty bad news for Durk, to be honest with you. But I'm going to do a big update with everything else on my channel, Trapmore Ross on YouTube. So stay tuned for my full update. And there's a few W's that I'm going to let you guys know that Durk had in court today as well soon.